Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Eternal Midnight. I am Santino, and I'm here with Chad. How's it going, man?
Yo, good. What's up?
I'm doing great. So now we're finishing off May month. So we spent a long time in space with the Enterprise and Kirk and Picard and Spock and the Borg. But now we're going to Egypt. We're going to Egypt with Imhotep and Anaxunamun and Brendan Fraser with the Mummy trilogy. So, Chad, what do you think of the very first Mummy?
The very first Mummy? Like we're going back to the 30s?
The the first Mummy in this trilogy. The Mummy.
No, the first Mummy, the 1999 Mummy is an awesome film. I mean, this is back when like dumb action films reigned supreme, and I know like action films nowadays are like all superheroes, but I genuinely miss movies like this. You know, like this, Independence Day, Jurassic, like the first Jurassic Park and Lost World, just stuff like that, where it was just fun action. And this movie just, to me, it just delivers on all fronts. I love this movie. Like, okay, so I didn't grow up watching it like a lot of people do. Like, I have a lot of friends who, like, they hold this movie dear to their heart. Like, this movie means the world to them. And while this movie doesn't have the same, like, sentimental value to me, it's awesome. It's just a blast all around. This is one of those, like, action monster movies. I don't get how someone could not like it.
Right. Yeah, because the Mummy. Okay, so my experience with the Mummy is completely different. The Mummy, when I was a kid. Okay, this was shown to me in grade
No.
2. I was 7 years old.
So you were 7 when you watched people getting their eyes and tongues ripped out and their bodies turning to skeleton.
Yes.
Who showed this to you?
Okay, so the story there was our school had this had this school fair, and while they were preparing, so like of course because like it was like okay, so the seniors' job was to prepare the fairs and the booths, while the grade school were meant to stay inside and wait because we were like 7, we didn't know anything about setting up or logistics or how to use money or economic funds. We didn't know anything about that. We didn't know anything about it whatsoever. So they made us sit inside and they gave us movies to watch, and they watched The Mummy. And man, holy shit. That the point where that one guy got eaten by the beetle, his brain got eaten by the beetle. I was like, holy shit, this is scary. So yeah, I was 7 when I saw that. Until this day,
nice.
I'm traumatized enough that I don't want to ride the Mummy ride in Universal Studios.
Really?
And it's so funny because it was so funny because I went to Universal Studios Hollywood, the one in LA, back in 2011, and they I'm not sure. Have you been to Universal Studios, Chad? Have you been to Universal at all?
The last time I went to Universal Studios, the theme park, was in Orlando, and it was so long ago that I think the Jaws ride was still there. I think the Twister ride was new. So I think I went before The Mummy came out, I want to say, or maybe it was like a year or two. It was extremely late 90s because I remember the Twister show was there. And It was in Orlando, and since then I've only been to Islands of Adventure.
Right. So basically in Universal Studios Hollywood, there's a part there where in the studio tour where there's a tram and they take you to like various sets of like famous Universal movies. Like you have Jurassic Park, you have King Kong, the 2005 King Kong, mind you.
They used to have another King Kong ride in the one in Hollywood. It got destroyed in a fire though, and it looked like the 70s King Kong. It was awesome. You look it up sometime.
I heard about that. No, but like basically this King Kong ride, like it was like a 3.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. Yeah, it's that giant like CGI like interactive movie type thing, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like so, basically, uh, and even had the Jaws, right, where like you go past the town and like the shark comes out and surprises you. Anyway,
Hmm.
that's not the point. The whole point is there's a part where it goes into the mummy set where they do the effect of the bugs crawling on you. So,
Ooh.
so man, dude, holy shit! When that happened to me, I screamed my head off. I was like, what the hell? It's like I was really scared of. I hate bugs, and I think it came from that whole scarab eating people scene in The Mummy, which was like really traumatizing for me as a kid. But overall, but rewatching
Yeah,
it,
because what a horrible way to go.
yeah, I know, right? I
I
know.
still think when it comes to stuff like that, it's like, wow, that's terrifying. It really is. This is from a different movie, but kind of the same like concept, like getting killed in a like a pyramid type setting.
Yeah.
Was Disney did a live action Jungle Book, not that John Favreau one, another one in the 90s,
Well, they did.
and some guy, oh yeah, and this one was cool. This one was really cool. And some guy was in like a pyramid in the jungle, and he was like trying to kill Mowgli, and he was like shooting at him, and he was like in this trap room, and all this salt started just like filling up the room, and then the ceiling started coming down, and the whole room is filling up with salt, and the ceiling comes down and locks the guy in that room.
Okay.
I was like, what a nightmare. The ceiling came down and he's buried in salt. The guy's finished, man.
Oh, okay. No, I thought that was I thought the salt would like attract
Oh,
bugs or something.
no. But it's like he's buried. And like he's buried and
Oh,
he can't move, and there's no way out. It's like another horrific way to go within a pyramid.
oh yeah, that does make sense. So yeah, so yeah,
So the movie.
the movie. Right, we're talking about the movie. So what do you think of the Mummy movie, Chad? You like it? The 1998
Oh, I
one?
love it. I absolutely love it. It's like it. Like I said earlier, it's just a pure classic action film. I mean, this. In all honesty, I almost wish Brendan Fraser's character of O'Connell could have gone in a different direction, because I could have seen this whole thing like splintering off and becoming the new Indiana Jones series of like the 90s.
Right.
Because it's like he had the charisma to do it, and I wish they'd done it
90s
instead of
Brendan
just.
Fraser was charismatic as hell.
Brendan Fraser is awesome. Any role he's in is great. I mean, this George of the Jungle, even his little mini cameo in GI Joe was awesome.
Yeah, that was
But it's just
awesome.
he's got charisma. This guy knows how to do humor. I mean, he's a genuinely awesome actor. I love watching him, and it's like he did it. He was like the perfect like just badass treasure hunter. Like I said, he should have been the new Indiana Jones of the 90s. He would have perfectly landed it.
Yes, because I don't know exactly what happened to him. I know his career got destroyed some way, which is a real shame because Brendan Fraser seems very wholesome. He's a very wholesome guy. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
He
honestly,
does. He seems like he'd be a blast to work with and just like talk with and hang out with.
exactly. Which which I feel like also the whole this whole mommy thing, like rewatching it, now I get it. Now I get why it's a huge thing. It's because the scariness of Imhotep is 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 um is tempered by Brendan Fraser's charisma. Like and, when it gets too scary, Brendan Fraser cracks a quick joke or a quick one-liner to alleviate the tension, which I think is awesome. Honestly, I think it's
And they
really
work. He's good at his humor. He's not annoying in the
yeah,
slightest.
exactly. It's not like forced humor like you see like in some of the super movies today where it's like Ralph Boner. I was like, oh really? No, but like
Yeah,
it's
it's not Thor Ragnarok type humor. It's actual legitimate like funny quips.
yeah, like honestly, like I laugh my ass off when Rachel Weisz is trying to kiss Brendan Fraser, and he falls asleep drunk. She falls asleep drunk like ugh, and Brendan Fraser just a motion like he Like like, see, like it's stuff like that. It's like, okay, that's hilarious, man. I love that. So like,
Yeah, and go
so
ahead.
like even okay. So let's talk about the mummy. It's so were you gonna say something? Were you gonna say something before that?
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, before we jump to the mummy, I want to talk about Evie or how is it? Is it Evie?
Evie.
Evie. Evie is an awesome female co-star.
Yeah,
She's perfect. I love her like little bit of clumsiness, but I mean, this woman is brave. This woman is braver than most men. Some of the shit she goes through. I mean,
yeah.
she is a badass female lead. And again, they didn't have to like screw her up like they did with shit like Captain Marvel and like ram it in your face. She's a woman. It's like,
Yeah.
no, she's just a badass female who kicks as much ass as Brendan Fraser.
Exactly. She really is. Like yeah, like Evie contributed as much, or in fact more than Brendan Fraser's character did actually, because she was just a cool ass person. I mean, like she wasn't trying to be like, oh, women empowerment. Like no, I'm a woman and I know it, and I won't take shit from you, and I'm gonna be tough no matter what. That's cool.
Yeah, and she's a great character in this movie. I love watching her. She's awesome. Mostly just because I also love Rachel Weisz. Rachel Weisz is hot.
Rachel Weisz is so hot, especially especially that the Mummy Returns fight where her past lives fighting an accident.
Oh,
wow!
damn.
I like that fight for all the wrong reasons. I'm just kidding. She's really hot there. She's really hot, and that like like outfit with the size and all that. Like that is just kick ass right there.
Her Egyptian outfit, yeah, she was sexy as hell.
So let's
But in this one, also, what do you think? The Mummy himself?
The Mummy itself. Okay, let's talk about Imhotep himself. What do you think of Imhotep?
Imhotep in this one
Is scary.
Was a great villain.
Yes.
He is scary. His transformation is terrifying, taking the different body parts from the different hunters, sucking their lives out of them. The one guy who lost his eyes, lost his tongue. That's just, oh, you'd almost rather be dead. You know what I mean? Because back then, I mean, I forget, what year did this first one take place? Was this this was the...
Oh, wait, no.
1919?
1918, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that guy was, as evil as it sounds, that guy was basically useless back then. What do you do with him? It's like you just sit there and then like that. Probably one of the best characters of the film gets wrangled into helping Imhotep, and he's like helping him kill everyone. And just, yeah, and then just seeing his powers and like that, bringing down some of the plagues onto Egypt to show off his powers. Just, and it's like, yes, the CGI is that late 90s CGI.
Yeah,
some of it is
the CGI is, let's bring it up. The CGI is not good. It is
it's wonky. It's kind of cartoony in some shots. I'll give them credit for trying though. But I will always love that shot of like the giant sandstorm in the desert with Imhotep's face on it.
Oh, I love that. That was awesome.
Yeah, Imhotep's good. Imhotep is a great villain in this movie. I love that backstory of why he's there.
Backstory when I first I first saw the backstory in grade 7, and it always stuck with me. When they cut out his tongue, I was like, oh, what the hell is this? I was like, this is the first time I saw like actual like violence. It's like I've never remember. Keep in mind, I only watched Harry Potter and Transformers back then. So seeing a person get tongue out, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, yeah. So Imhotep really is a scary ass dude, and honestly, like, he made a very strong impression on.
They picked a very strong-looking actor for him. The guy who played him, I thought that was Zartan from G.I. Joe.
Arnold Vosloo?
Something. Yeah, he just, the way he looks just comes across as a very guy you don't want to fuck with.
Yeah. You don't want to mess with this guy because like I really don't.
And
It also,
And the only one who did and thought he could live was Benny.
Benny was hilarious when he started praying in all those languages. It was like,
I always think my favorite
love
scene
it.
was always right after the boat sank. O'Connell, we've got the horses. Benny, you're on the wrong side of the river.
I love
See,
that.
that's the type of humor that's like in this, and that's why this humor works. Because it's not stupid, like nobody farted and slipped or something. It was just like
Yeah,
perfect, just
exactly.
like chemistry between these actors.
It's too good. This movie is too good, honestly.
Yeah, it's just it's not overly complex. They figure
Not.
out how to
It's
beat
not.
the mummy and they kill him. And they, O'Connell stops the mummy and gets the girl. I mean, that about, in all honesty, that about wraps it up. There's not
Yeah.
much to this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I enjoy it because it's a simple adventure. Like, okay, it's not trying to be Indiana Jones. It's a mythical. It's a mythical adventure with a charismatic lead, which honestly is great. I mean, like, there's no how do I say it? There's no like need for shitty jokes. There's no need for like, no need for like, oh, we're gonna try and inject some deep messages. Like, no, it's a mummy and he's evil and let's stop him. And it's simple as that, which I love it, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if I guess if you overlook the CGI,
It still holds up. I
still holds
enjoyed
up.
I enjoyed rewatching it the other night.
Yeah, it still holds up in a way. You know, I mean, like, there are some parts where like, okay, yeah, the CGI is obviously terrible. Like, yeah, I can understand why it is like that. But other than that, I mean, like, okay, other than the bad CGI from the Mummy, and of course, like looking back now, like those CGI bugs do look dated, but it's still fun. It still is fun.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
so now let's continue with the Mummy Returns.
Oh god.
Perhaps the weirdest movie in this trilogy. Really weird.
This movie was I did not like this film, like really at all.
What do you think of
I thought,
Scorpion King, Chad?
okay, so they set up this extremely, extremely interesting character of the Scorpion King. I thought the mythos of where he came from, what was going on with the god Anubis, I'm like, this is, because I like literally, I watched it for the first time for this. Like, I've got that like Blu-ray pack that has the trilogy and Scorpion King on it, and I'd only ever watched the first one. So I was like sitting down to watch this one. Because like I said, I know people who like hold this trilogy dear to them and say they love the first two movies. I'm like, all right, Returns has got to be like just as good, maybe.
Yeah.
So it starts off very strong, I thought. Like this interesting, extremely cool backstory and lore. And then it's just bring Emotep back, and he's nowhere near as cool. He
Yeah.
only really has one scene where he shows off his powers when they were on the river. And then they bring the Scorpion King the hell out of nowhere, and it's literally worse CGI than Emotep was in the first movie. And I'm like, well, I was like, what was the point of this movie? What was the point? They didn't explore anything about, and there's like that at the end of the movie, boom, like the god Anubis shows up with his army. I'm like, no explanation for that. We're not going to go into it. Some kind of lore on how to summon Anubis and his army or something. I'm like, they just threw it in there. I'm like, that's lazy. And
This
just
is another
overall,
example. This is
this
another
story
example
just
of
didn't work. But the one thing I will give this movie, and I texted you this while I was watching it,
yes.
the one major positive this movie gets, that so many movies always seem to screw up nowadays. They set up O'Connell and Evie's relationship in the first Mummy. And instead of this one being about them broken up or going through problems, they built on their relationship and they just made it stronger. And I was like, yes, they finally
That's how
made a
they do
movie
it.
where
That's how
a
they do it.
couple actually stays together and they build on it. Thank you. But aside from that, yeah.
That's how they do it. That's how it should be done. And I thought this, I hate it when people do the Man in Black syndrome. Like, okay, so I should explain. The Man in Black syndrome is where, as my term when I call it, when a movie establishes and concludes a relationship, like what Agent J and Agent K had, where like in the first Man in Black, Agent K trains Agent J to be like, okay, you're gonna be training in Man in Black, and surprise, I'm not training a partner, I'm training a replacement because I'm old. I want to live my life. I want to live my life happy. I want to forget about the aliens. I want to forget what I saw. I want to forget everything. And I just want to live a peaceful life after this. So my duty is done. It's your responsibility now. So good luck, Jay. Neuralize me. And then Jay's like, okay, yeah, I'll see you around, dude. And then like, no, you won't. But I'll remember you. Neuralizes him. That finishes. And Agent J becomes the new Man in Black. He becomes a protagonist. And then in Man in Black 2, they're like, oh, well, Agent K was, and Agent J's dynamic was awesome. So what the heck, we just deneuralize him and bring him back? Like, why? Why did you do that? That's why I call it the Man in Black syndrome, where they retcon the relationship that was had just for the sake of, well, we want
Laziness.
for laziness, exactly. But what Evie and Rick O'Connell's character was not lazy at all. The fact that the relationship builds, and becomes stronger, especially after the first Mummy, is the most realistic part of this movie, and which I love about it the most. They didn't
Yep.
reckon.
I would have preferred them being on a different adventure. Maybe these two could have been like the new monster hunters of like a new like Universal Monsters world or something. Like maybe they could have gone after vampires next or something, or the creature from the Black Lagoon or something. Maybe, I don't know, but it was just like this movie. Just I don't even know what they were thinking with this film. I really don't. I don't even what was the point.
I feel like honestly, in my personal opinion, and this is me, I have no proof whatsoever. I have no like um, documents pertaining to like, okay, this is what happened, and I can show you. I have none of that. I really don't. But what I think happened is, the director wanted to do the Scorpion King. They wanted to do like this new methods on the Scorpion King, and have Dwayne Johnson play them, and have this awesome new adventure with a new Mummy. But the studio's like, well, Imhotep's popular, so can you bring him back, integrated it in the story, so that we can get people to watch it? I think that's what happened.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I haven't watched the first Scorpion King. Is the first one worth watching or no?
I haven't seen the Scorpion King either, so I would.
Okay, because I know everyone says like, I think there's 3 of them. I know everyone says like at least the sequel is dog shit. I don't know anything about the first one. I'll watch it someday. I wanted to. Like midway through, I wanted to watch it because I'm like, this could be interesting. But then I just hit the end and I'm just like, that awful CGI. What? Why? Like, what was the point of that? That was some of the ugliest CGI ever, and this was 2001 when this came out.
Yeah, exactly. And 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 holy shit, man! I mean, like, Imhotep screaming no, like he just appears out of like the left frame. Like, what the hell was that, man? And like, honestly, like it honestly feels like to me these are 2 movies. Like the studio wanted Imhotep to return, but the director wanted to do Scorpion King. And they said, fuck it, let's just mesh together. And it did not work well whatsoever.
No.
I honestly preferred it if they called it The Mummy, Legend of the Scorpion King. And have it be another cryptid, another evil, That's why I honestly like Tomb of the Dragon Emperor a lot. And we'll get to that in a bit. But like, I feel like honestly, it would have worked a lot better if that was the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this movie just felt lazy to me. Aside from, like I said, Rick and Evie, I didn't even care about their kid. to be totally honest. I could have cared less if the little shit got killed. I didn't care.
Hey, come on, that flashback fight was awesome.
What flashback fight?
Rachel Weisz and Knocks on the Moon.
Oh yeah, I mean that was worth it. But I mean, come on, tons of movies have, just gratuitous scenes of, oh look, two hot females kicking each other's asses.
Yeah.
I mean, they were both gorgeous. I got to give them that. Oh, we forgot that part. I hate it. How in the name of all hell is she a descendant of a pharaoh?
I have no idea also. That was like one of the worst.
And they randomly throw in, oh, look, Destiny chose you to be one of ours, like one of the sacred, like, protectors of, like, stopping the mummies or some shit. I'm like, I fucking hate predestination films like that, where they're just like, oh, it was determined long ago you'd be one of us. Oh, look, she's a descendant of Pharaoh. Sure she was.
Sure.
God. I did not. I mean, yeah, her death did kind of sell me. I'll give it that. Her death did hit kind of hard. Fraser, I thought, did a great job of his acting with her death. But other than that, just I don't know. I don't really have much to say about this film. It intrigued me and interested me like the least of all three of these.
Yeah, it really is. It's honestly the weakest, and I feel like this movie suffered from having too much good concepts and not enough time. It feels like there was way too much food on the plate, and the director said, "Here, eat all of it," and but quantity does not exactly equal quantity. You know what I mean? Because quantity doesn't exactly equal quality. So yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't. So this one will probably be one I'll just skip if I ever watch these again. Just I don't really have. I mean, no, I don't know. I don't look forward to going back to it. I'll put it that way.
Same. So finally, at the very end, we end with the Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Now, this was the last one before Brendan Fraser disappeared, which sucks because he was a great guy. It was honestly awesome. So, so Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. What do you think of Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, Chad?
See, this is the part where I don't. This is where it's hard because it's like, how many times can these people run into mummies in their lives? Like, good Lord. Like, wow. And it was better than Returns. I don't understand how some people say this is like some people say this is just god awful. I'm like, it wasn't god awful. It wasn't
god awful.
It's not the first one, but I mean, it's not. I've seen far worse films out there. It's just recasting of Evie. I always hate recasting. It pisses me off.
Yeah, I didn't like Evie's recasting, honestly.
But I will give it. They at least were open about it. Like, at least they made a joke about it. The second we saw Rachel, they made a joke about like a new face or something, and I'm like, oh, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, whatever. They were self-aware about it. She and Fraser had they had chemistry. It wasn't Rachel Weisz.
It wasn't as good as chemistry as the first two.
Yeah, it wasn't Rachel Weisz. This woman felt nothing like Rachel Weisz's Evie, like at all. But her character, I'd say, played a pretty good part in this movie. I didn't hate the character, but it wasn't the same. So, so I texted you this while watching it. Also, yeah. So I stand by this. This is how they should have done Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull when it came to the son. So Brendan Fraser obviously still got to kick ass, but his son was like set up like kind of as a badass too, who one day could follow in his father's, in his footsteps. Whereas in Indiana Jones 4, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I thought the chemistry Shia and Harrison Ford had was fine, but I'm like, I don't fucking like this character of Mutt, like, at all. I don't like how he was portrayed. I don't like how he acted. I didn't really like what he did. He was just irritating. And I watched this, and I'm like, this actor didn't really sell me, but I was like, the concept and the way they handled him, I thought was how Indiana Jones' son should have been handled. And just tangent kind of on Crystal Skull, they really should have picked somebody who it's like, who is going to take over for Harrison Ford? This guy is ancient. And then that's when they should have passed the hat and been like, you're up, kid, or something. Thus setting up like the new Indiana Jones Adventures or something.
Right.
So I thought that was a concept this movie did kind of get right. Because I did kind of like the family wasn't broken, but Rick and his son saw Matt, like, didn't really see eye to eye. And I thought it was kind of like, I kind of like the three of them all coming together, but it also kind of hurts when it's like, all right, Brendan Fraser's the only one that I recognize because it's not Rachel Weisz and it's not even the same kid. Obviously, it's not the same kid.
Well, the
Mummy
brother's there.
Returns.
The brother's there.
I don't give a shit about. I've never given a shit about Jonathan. He's always been worthless to me.
Yeah, I understand.
He doesn't do anything. He's just there for, like, he did stuff in The Mummy. Here, he's just kind of here for bumbling comic relief at this point. He doesn't really do anything anymore.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's fine. But you know what honestly makes me what I like about it is the Dragon Emperor himself, Jet Li as a Dragon Emperor. Damn.
Jet Li's a badass.
That good choice for a villain. And even honestly, okay, I know we haven't seen her in a lot, but Michelle Yeoh as the witch, I love Michelle Yeoh because she's great at everything she's in.
Yeah, she was good in this movie, and so was the woman who played her daughter. They were both really cool characters.
Yeah, exactly. And so I like the concept of it's realistic enough to be like, realistic, quote unquote realistic.
Realistic in a movie with mummies and yetis.
Realistic. The body.
The armies of the dead.
Yeah, are buried under dumb as fuck.
But you know what? I just kind of like when I saw that, like, all right, when I first saw the Yetis, I was like, are you kidding me? But then, like, I want to say within 30 seconds, I was like, you know what? Who cares? This is a movie with mummies and witches. It's fine. I can accept Yetis. That I should not have a problem with that. This shouldn't be an issue.
It should not be an issue.
Even though it came out of nowhere, and it somehow they all got saved from an avalanche that should have murdered them by the Yetis laying on top of them.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this movie, you know what? It's funny. This movie really did feel like more of an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, exactly. It felt more of an Indiana Jones than an actual Mummy movie.
It really did, because it just kind of came the hell out of nowhere. I mean, it was interesting. Like, it set up a lot of, like, lore and stuff. Like, that oasis in the middle of the mountains was really a cool concept. Was it Shangri-La?
Yeah, Shangri-La, yeah.
Shangri-La, yeah. That was really cool. They could build on that if they wanted. And, I mean, there's some cool concepts. It was interesting. I don't really know how... The way they killed the mummy was kind of weird. How did his son hold just the blade without, like, cutting his own hands when he stabbed him? Whatever.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then the knife, like, reattaches itself because they, like, impaled him with it. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it was an interesting way to go out, a magical dagger. I mean, stuff like that is, hey, what dagger was more important to the plot, Santino? This one or the one that Darth Uchi had in Rise of Skywalker?
Nice one. I didn't even think of that. Nice one. I didn't even think of that, Chad. That's brilliant. Look at it. You.
Right? Tomb of the Dragon Emperor handled the mysticism of a knife better than Star Wars. Oh, anytime we can dog on those movies is amazing. I love it.
I still think my best ones when I said Leprechaun 3 had way more wish logic than Wonder Woman 84.
It's because it did. That's even more of a slap in the face. We got big old DC got it Wonder Woman wish movie. Yeah, Leprechaun 3 did it better. Oh, but Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. What do you got to say? You got many positives you want to
I
throw
think
out?
is, in my opinion, really enjoyable. It's not as good as the first one, but it's still way better than the second one. And I think that if I'm being perfectly honest, it's not as if it was trying to be like an Oscar contender. They just wanted Brendan Fraser to fight Jet Li, which I think is awesome in my book.
Mm-hmm.
And having the lore of like the soldiers turning to stone and then they'll be like reanimated into like the evil undead army again. I think it was awesome.
Yeah, that intro was great. That lore for the Dragon
Exactly.
Emperor was awesome.
Which is weird, like which is weird because like all the mummy movies have awesome lore. They just don't execute as well as they should.
Right, exactly. That's the problem is they fall apart because they don't do anything good with the lore half the time.
Ah,
But
well,
yeah, overall, I mean, it was fun. I don't understand why this is the one that's just like despised and
yeah,
hated.
I don't know why. Honestly, it's way better than the second one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd rather watch this than the second one too. I agree. I really do. I think, like I said, the second one could have been good if they'd actually done something with the Dragon Emperor. I mean, not with the Scorpion King, but they didn't. They just didn't do anything with him, so it was pointless. But this one, they actually did something. I mean, that asshole general who betrayed his whole country to help the Emperor come back to life. That was like, damn, dude, harsh. You hate the world to bring this immortal thing of like pure hatred back to life.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just kind of it's just kind of sad that this was the end. I mean, it didn't. We've seen plenty of franchises go out on really bad whimpers, and I
Yeah,
wouldn't say this one went out as bad as some others, but it didn't go out on the strongest note. Like there was no real conclusion to this.
I understand that. Yeah, it just kind of ended. It was like, well, that happened.
So I mean, it's so as a trilogy. What's your like thoughts on it as a trilogy as a whole? Is it
As a
weak? Is it
trilogy,
mediocre?
I think it works okay. You know what I mean? I mean, like, yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
second one was ass, but uh, the first one's really good, and I still find the third one enjoyable. I find the third one enjoyable in the sense like, okay, it's a Revenge of the Fallen type of thing, where I can like have beer, chips, get a bit, wasted, shit faced, and watch.
And watch Jet Li kick ass.
Yeah, Jet Li's awesome in this movie. That's it.
Jet Li's always a badass, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's always a badass. Always been. All right, so
So
I guess that's it.
that's
So
May.
that's May. Chad, what do we have for June, Chad? It's the start of the summer season. What do you
Ah, well, so we kind of decided we're going to do something a little different this coming up in June. A little different than we normally do. Normally, you guys see that we've got one host who usually does the entire franchise. Well, we've got two franchises this time that are going to kind of be that they are very synonymous with each other, and I think everyone will agree. So Santino will be hosting one section. I'll be hosting the other. Santino will be hosting all of the Alien films, while I will be hosting all of the Predator films. And the month will end with the two AVPs where we will go head to head for which of those two is worse. So, before we get into it, Santino, how many of all of these movies have you seen?
I've seen Aliens. I've seen all of the Alien films. I haven't seen any Predator films.
Nice.
Oh,
Good,
wait,
perfect.
no. I saw one and I didn't like it. The last one, the 2018 one.
The Predator.
Yeah.
That movie is shite. I'm glad you hated it. Good. At least we're on the same page because I despise that film. I absolutely hate it. And you want to know the best part? Once you watch the first three, you're going to hate The Predator even more, I think. You're going to despise it even more than you already do because you're going to see how much of the lore that movie changed that was established in the first three.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, so yes, ladies and gentlemen, June 2021, we're going to be doing Alien and Predator. Both series, alternating weeks. 1 week, one episode, we're going to be doing Alien movies. The next, we'll be doing the Predator movies. So tune in for those. And at the end of the day, who do you root for? The Aliens or the Predators? This is, huh?
Let us know.
Oh, I thought you said it's obvious. I was like, really?
No. Let us know.
So, let us know down below. And until then, I am Chad, signing off.
Santino, see you soon.